And now you know the rest of the story.
Like the intro says, welcome back to the rest of the story. The birds are, well, I'm just going to try to talk over the birds. Yep, I'm here in front of the 46. I'm planning on dropping the oil out of it. I had every intention of doing it like 2 hours ago, and it's been one of those days where things just constantly spiral against you, and in the end you never do get ahead. And what I'm doing right now is checking to see if I have any 30 weight on hand. I'm gonna have to make an emergency trip to Sloan's. And crud. Got a bunch of oil I gotta get into our barrel over there. As far as the 46 goes, yes, I did fire it up the other day. Largely just because it was a courtesy to all my viewers. Everybody likes to hear the 46 bark. And she fired right up in that was the first try starting it up too. Needs to be cleaned out. Needs an oil change, and yeah, it just needs to be gone over. I want to talk to you really quick about, and this probably won't be quick, that's just something I say to kind of mislead you into thinking this will be a quick video. Speaking of skid steers, a little while back, I don't know why. I really don't know why people asked me. Maybe Ryan didn't answer it, but I was asked why Ryan didn't buy a skid steer instead of buying cows. Okay. Well, it's pretty well common knowledge that we do need another skid steer around here. We are going to be planting a bunch more acres this year, as far as seeding down a bunch more acres this year. So we are going to be hauling more hay off the fields. I got a flat tire on the Gator, or a low tire. Long and short as to why Ryan didn't buy a skid steer first as opposed to buying the cows is because if you buy a skid steer with the intention of buying cows after that, you're burning up the money that you would use to buy the cows to buy the skid steer. And unfortunately, the skid steer isn't going to produce enough income to turn around and buy a bunch of cows. Which in turn, when you go and buy a bunch of cows first, which is exactly what Ryan did, they are all third trimester bred. They could start calving anywhere from tomorrow to May. So those cows are going to be used to pay his loans back, to pay down on his account for buying a skid steer. Ryan is trying to get himself situated so he can buy another skid steer. It's definitely on the list of things we need to worry about. It's just that when it comes right down to it, for any of us to buy anything around here, you have to have enough of the said product, this case being cows, to buy the equipment that it takes to handle and raise those animals. I've said it in the past where another manure spreader, a newer, bigger, better, healthier manure spreader would be on a list of things that we'd like to work on or like to work towards. The only problem is for me to buy a skid steer when I only have my big whopping herd of 3 cows. Yeah, I'm at 3 cows. I don't have any calves yet, but they're due to freshen basically any time. It's kind of hard to justify buying equipment for raising cattle and taking care of cattle when I don't have the herd to take care of, or I don't have the herd to supply the income to pay for the equipment. And I don't want to pull off of my crop income, my corn and soybean income, to make purchases for taking care of cattle. It's counterproductive to me. If I'm going to be spending money off of my crop income, my corn and beans, to buy machinery, I would rather be spending it towards machinery that's going to help me raise my crops and be more of an efficient crop producer, crop farmer in that way. I do want to get a bunch of cows around myself. Ryan has been wanting to get a bunch of cows around. He took the initiative and he went and bought 21 by the way. I mean, he's actually ahead of the curve. He brought home one more than he really intended. But the problem is Ryan's been wanting a skid steer for at least a good year or so, and Ryan understands that fact that he can't go buy a skid steer with the intention of that skid steer is going to make him the same amount of money that these 20 cows are going to make him to go buy cows. So yeah, skid steer is handy around the farm, but as far as the amount of money it's going to produce itself, it's a support unit for taking care of cattle, for making hay, for pushing dirt, for pushing snow so you can feed the cattle. That's where we really stand on that. And I'm the same way. I get asked randomly different times as far as what my next purchase would be. I honestly don't know. I say that XB trailer for the four-wheeler and the Gator. I say that it could be a piece of equipment, a bigger piece of equipment, something that would help us around here a lot better. It all really depends on where I'm at financially when the time comes that I'm looking to make a purchase. So that's just kind of where we stand on that. Yeah, I would myself like to buy another tractor. I'd like to buy something that was more in the chore tractor range, something that I could use to help out the 7600 between using it year round. Maybe get the 76 off the road quite so much. A tractor with a loader on it, about 140 to 200 horse. When I say up to 200 horse, I'm thinking like a 7530 with a loader on it, mechanical front wheel drive, and something that I can use to feed bales and everything down at my place and make hay during the summer, but I can also use it as a road runner for cutting hay, baling hay, raking hay in the summer, to pulling the gravity box, because that 500 bushel gravity box is nice, but a 600 or 700 bushel gravity box would even be better yet. And no, I don't really think the 7600 would really want to pull something that big, but something with brakes on it, I don't know, I would probably consider it. So grain handling equipment, to give you a broad example of what I'd be looking at as far as a machinery purchase, it'd be something to make us more efficient when it comes to planting or harvesting our crops. So, and there's always random parts and pieces that you can buy throughout the year. Something that's on my mind, I don't know if I'm going to make it yet. I do want to get a bunch of closing wheels for the corn planter. I think they're Yetter, and at least do half the planter. But the problem is I'm currently waiting on my taxes yet. Taxes are done, I'm just waiting to get them back. So really kind of keeping the checkbook awfully tight here as of late. So as far as the weather, because where would farmers be without the weather? It's nice out. It's nicer out than it's been. It is finally starting to dry out in front of the machine shed. This is actually dry gravel. The snow piles are going to be here for a little while yet. It's supposed to be up in the 50s this week. I haven't seen it yet. They're saying it's supposed to be up to 51 one of these days here, but then the problem is they're saying that we're going to potentially run into a bunch of rain here, not in the not too distant future. The last thing any of us really want to hear right now is moisture. But the problem is, if you start talking dry planting conditions at the end of March, you could see us in the field sooner than later, to the point where, well, we are officially to the point in 4 weeks. We had better be doing something close to being in the field within 4 weeks. As far as seeding, down a bunch of new hay ground, new seeding. Preferably before that, because we'd like to have all of our oats in the ground at least ahead of when we want to start planting corn and beans. And that's going to make it kind of everybody's probably going to be a little testy around here if we're trying to get oats in the ground when we really could be planting corn and beans. So I like to get them in early, not stupid early where you're planting them in the middle of April, at least not in this area. I just think it's really risky, but hopefully like the last week of April, ideally. And the weather really did turn around. My friend Ryan just called me tonight, and he said exactly that. The weather can change on a dime, and we could be in the field doing field work here in another even 2 weeks, which will really help me out to at least finish up a lot of the chisel plowing and the tillage that we'd like to get done. Not planning on going crazy doing a bunch of tillage, just for the simple fact that if we're going to do a lot of primary tillage, and I classify chisel plowing as primary tillage. I'd like to do a lot of that in the fall, but it's just, you can't really get around it. So for those of you that are getting really excited and anxious and just can't wait for the 4640 to start turning some dirt, that's going to be happening before terribly too long. These two girls, yes, I said girls, both these tractors are going to have to be gone through, and the plan is to do it this week. I overlooked the engine oil issue. I thought I had more on hand than what we do. So I may possibly try to get it caught on camera. It's just that when it comes to overall maintenance, people really don't try to tune in too much to watching a guy change the oil on the tractors. Largely from what I'm seeing, everybody likes to hear me talk about them rather than seeing me work on them too much, which is just fine with me. I'm pretty good at just sitting and talking and going on and on. So for tonight's video, I think that's enough. I got a couple more videos on my mind that I got to get done, and plus the fact that we are getting busier, and if the mud would dry up a little bit, we do have to push a lot of manure. We have to haul a lot of manure. We got to get that manure spreader up and running. So made the mistake of leaving it sit too long this past winter. It sat underneath the barn cleaner. It got a bunch of ice on the web. That's fairly melted out. Has a low tire on it that we got to get fixed up, and then the plan is, and if everybody's wondering why there's straw in that on there, I was trying to clean up out the barn today from some of the bed pack we had of those Holsteins late in the fall. I'm trying to get the barn kind of cleaned out and aired out, because granted we don't use it for much anymore other than the random group of calves. I like the barn to stay nice, if that makes any sense at all. I mean, I don't want it to start falling in, because as soon as you start neglecting these buildings around here, when you quit using them, just from not using them, as odd as it is, they start falling in, they start falling apart, because when you're not constantly using them and you're not constantly in them, you're not making the updates and repairs that they need. If something starts to get a little bit loose or fall apart, I mean, you're not fixing it. So. And with that, I gotta take the skid steer home. So thanks for watching. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.